in the heart of the United States Capitol, surrounded by monuments of power and history, stands a different kind of monument, one not built for leaders or wars, but for imagination. The National Gallery of Art rises with quiet dignity along the National Mall, a sanctuary where the language of color, form, and light transcends all boundaries. This is not merely a museum, it is a world of memory, dream, and discovery. Within its marble walls and glass corridors live the voices of centuries, the devotion of Renaissance masters, the poetry of Impressionists, the bold rebellion of modern art, and the timeless whisper of sculpture and stone. Each room carries a heartbeat from another era, and together they form a living symphony, the song of human creativity. The gallery tells the story of civilization through art, from faith and beauty to struggle and innovation. It is a place where every brushstroke holds a piece of our collective soul, where every sculpture captures the emotion of existence itself. Here, the past and present stand side by side, and time itself seems to pause. This is a journey through that world, from the first light of dawn to the quiet glow of night. A journey through galleries of color and corridors of silence, through masterpieces that have shaped how we see ourselves, and through spaces that remind us why art matters. Morning awakens gently over Washington, D.C. The first rays of sunlight rise from the horizon, casting a soft golden hue across the quiet city. The streets are calm, touched by the stillness that exists just before the day begins. Over the horizon, the dome of the United States Capitol glows faintly, its marble surface bathed in a delicate light. The Washington Monument stands tall and proud, a slender silhouette piercing the soft morning sky. Around it, the air feels fresh and clear, carrying the quiet hum of a city preparing to stir. The golden light flows like liquid across the vast expanse of the National Mall, illuminating the green lawns, the tree-lined paths, and the reflecting pools that mirror the awakening sky. The world feels peaceful, timeless, suspended in the beauty of a new beginning. In the midst of this grand landscape stands another monument of human achievement, the National Gallery of Art. Its neoclassical facade of pale marble gleams softly, every column and arch reflecting the first colors of dawn. The building seems to breathe with life as the city's heartbeat slowly returns. From above, the museum appears like a temple of knowledge and beauty, perfectly balanced among the other symbols of the nation's ideals. Its grand steps lead toward a world where art and imagination live in harmony. The golden light brushes across the smooth stone surfaces, touching sculptures, windows, and the graceful dome with warmth and radiance. The gentle rhythm of morning light creates a serene dance between shadow and glow, giving the museum a quiet strength and dignity. The air begins to fill with subtle movement. A few early visitors walk the paths surrounding the museum, their footsteps soft against the marble and grass. Birds circle in the distance, their calls echoing faintly through the still air. The sound of a fountain nearby adds a steady murmur, mingling with the whisper of the breeze that moves through the trees of the mall. The city is awakening slowly, gracefully, beautifully. The National Gallery of Art stands at the center of it all, a silent witness to history and a guardian of creativity. As the sun rises higher, the sky turns from soft pink to a brilliant blue, and the museum seems to glow from within. The light reveals every detail, the curves of the dome, the precision of its architecture, and the quiet promise it holds inside. It is a symbol of balance between art and nation, between the eternal and the ever-changing. Washington, D.C. comes alive around it. Distant traffic hums, the city breathes, and new stories begin. Yet within the museum's walls, time feels slower, almost sacred. It is a place where the morning sun meets centuries of human imagination. As the day unfolds, the National Gallery of Art stands ready once again to welcome visitors from every corner of the world. Dreamers, thinkers, and seekers of inspiration, all drawn here by the timeless power of beauty. Standing at the heart of Washington, D.C., the National Gallery of Art is not one building, but two visions, two languages, two worlds that together tell the story of America's artistic spirit. On one side stands the West Building, a timeless masterpiece of classical architecture. Its grand marble facade, designed by architect John Russell Pope, draws inspiration from the temples of ancient Rome and Greece. Every column, arch, and dome evokes strength, harmony, and balance. The pale Tennessee marble gleams softly in the daylight, giving the building a sense of calm permanence, as though it has stood there since the beginning of the city itself. The great rotunda at its center rises beneath a majestic dome, where sunlight pours through the oculus and spills gently over the marble floor. The air inside feels cool, quiet, and reverent, like stepping into a sanctuary. The echo of footsteps fades into the distance as visitors enter a space that feels both monumental and deeply human. The architecture invites reflection, creating a perfect frame for the masterpieces that line its halls. The West Building speaks in the language of tradition, order, proportion, and grace, embodying the ideals that shaped Western art for centuries. Across Constitution Avenue, a bridge of light and glass leads to an entirely different world, the East Building. Designed by the visionary architect I.M. Pei, it stands as a bold contrast to its classical neighbor. Where the West Building is curved and symmetrical, The East building is sharp and geometric. Its design is born from pure geometry to triangles forming a striking modern form. Light floods through vast skylights, illuminating open spaces and angular walls that seem to defy gravity. The building itself feels alive, dynamic, and endlessly changing as the sun moves across the sky. Inside, the East building unfolds like a sculpture of space and light. The atrium soars upward, filled with floating bridges and suspended walkways. Glass and steel meet marble in a perfect balance between precision and imagination. The architecture invites exploration. Every turn offers a new perspective. Every angle reveals something unexpected. Here, art is not confined by walls. It breathes, expands, and interacts with its surroundings. The space becomes part of the artwork, blurring the line between the creation and the container. Together, these two buildings, the West and the East, embody the story of art itself, one rooted in the ancient traditions of beauty and form, the other reaching forward into modern ideas of abstraction and innovation. They face each other like reflections across time, bound by the same purpose, to celebrate the power of human creativity. Between them flows an unspoken dialogue, past and future, order and freedom. Marble and glass dot as sunlight drifts from one facade to the other. The two buildings seem to exchange energy, united in purpose, though different in style. The National Gallery of Art becomes not just a museum, but a symbol, a bridge connecting the heritage of classical art with the endless possibilities of the modern age. It stands as a testament to the enduring belief that art, in all its forms, can connect worlds, transcend boundaries, and speak to the heart of every generation. Inside the National Gallery of Art, time seems to slow down. The sounds of the city fade away, replaced by a deep, peaceful silence. The air feels cool and still, carrying a faint scent of marble and polished wood. Sunlight filters through the high domes and tall windows, scattering soft patterns across the floors and walls. Each ray of light touches the paintings and sculptures, as though awakening them gently from their eternal stillness. The vastness of the galleries creates a sense of serenity, a quiet that invites reflection, thought, and wonder. Visitors move slowly through the grand halls, their footsteps echoing faintly as they pass from one room to another. Each gallery feels like a new world. In one space, the delicate colors of the Renaissance shimmer under the warm glow of the lamps. In another, the bold tones of modern art pulse with energy and freedom. The architecture itself seems designed to protect this silence, to allow the art to speak in its own timeless language. Every corridor tells a story. The walls, adorned with centuries of creation, form a dialogue between artists and eras. Paintings hang in perfect balance, some filled with vibrant life, others with quiet contemplation. The faces within the portraits seem to look back at the visitors, bridging the distance between past and present. A woman studies a Vermeer, her expression mirroring the stillness of the scene before her. A child gazes up at a marble sculpture, eyes wide with curiosity. Each visitor becomes part of the living story the museum tells every day. The light shifts gently throughout the day, moving across the galleries like a living presence. In the morning, it glows golden and warm, resting softly on the marble surfaces. By afternoon, it becomes clearer and sharper, tracing the edges of paintings and statues with fine precision. Even as evening approaches, the museum seems to hold on to the last light of day, a delicate balance between shadow and illumination. In the quiet of the museum, there is a feeling that art is alive, that it breathes in rhythm with those who come to see it. The silence is not empty, it is full of meaning. It holds the whispers of history, the thoughts of artists long gone, and the emotions of countless visitors who have stood in the same place over decades. Each artwork becomes a window into another time, another world, another soul. The National Gallery of Art is more than a collection of objects. It is a living space of connection. Within its walls, the noise of the outside world disappears, replaced by a language of color, form, and emotion. It is a place where the mind can rest and the spirit can awaken. In this stillness, surrounded by beauty and time, every person who enters becomes part of something greater, a quiet communion with the human story told through art. The story of the National Gallery of Art begins with a vision, a dream shaped by the passion and generosity of one man, Andrew W. Mellon. In the early decades of the 20th century, Mellon was among America's most powerful financiers and statesmen. Yet beyond the world of politics and business, he held a quiet devotion to art. He believed deeply that great art should not belong to the privileged few, but to all people, regardless of wealth or status. To him, art was a bridge between cultures, a teacher of beauty, and a guide to understanding humanity itself. During his years as Secretary of the Treasury, Mellon traveled across Europe, where he visited the world's great museums, the Louvre in Paris, the Uffizi in Florence, the National Gallery in London. He admired their collections and the way they preserved the creative spirit of civilization. America, he realized, lacked a true national art museum, a place where the treasures of the world could be gathered and shared freely with the public. Out of that realization, his dream was born: to create a museum in the capital of the United States that would stand equal to the greatest institutions of Europe. Mellon began collecting art with a clear purpose: He acquired masterpieces not for private display, but for the people of his country. His collection grew to include extraordinary works by Raphael, Titian, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and other masters of the European tradition. Each painting, each sculpture, represented a fragment of the story of civilization, a gift he intended to pass on to future generations. As his vision took shape, Mellon worked with architect John Russell Pope, whose designs for the Jefferson Memorial and the National Archives had already become American icons. Pope conceived a structure of perfect symmetry and harmony, a neoclassical temple built of marble, designed to honor the timeless ideals of beauty and balance. Construction began in 1937, under Mellon's careful guidance, but he would not live to see the project completed. Mellon's health declined, and he passed away before the opening of the museum. Yet his dream endured. 4 years later, in 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt stood before the completed West Building and dedicated it to the American people. The doors opened wide to the public, free of charge, fulfilling Mellon's belief that art should belong to everyone. The ceremony was not just the birth of a museum, it was the realization of a national promise, a declaration that culture and creativity were central to the American identity. Over time, Mellon's vision grew beyond what even he could have imagined. His generosity inspired others, collectors, artists, and philanthropists to contribute their own treasures. The collection expanded across centuries and continents, growing into one of the finest in the world. Every painting that hangs on its walls, every sculpture that fills its halls, carries with it the legacy of his faith in art as a universal language. Today, the National Gallery of Art stands as a living reflection of Andrew W. Mellon's dream, a place where history, imagination, and humanity converge. His belief that art could elevate the mind and heal the spirit continues to shape every corner of the museum. Through his vision, the National Gallery became not just a home for masterpieces, but a monument to the enduring power of generosity and the timeless beauty of human creativity. Stepping into the galleries of the old masters is like crossing the threshold into another world, a world shaped by centuries of vision, devotion, and mastery. The light softens as one moves through these rooms, falling gently upon walls that hold the heart of European art. Here, the quiet power of genius surrounds every visitor. The air feels dense with memory, filled with the weight of time and the voices of artists who painted not just what they saw, but what they felt about life, faith, and beauty. The walls glow with the works of Raphael, Titian, Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Leonardo da Vinci. Each canvas captures an entire universe of meaning. In Raphael's delicate figures, grace and serenity flow like divine music. In the portraits of Rembrandt, light and shadow create a theater of the soul. Faces emerge from darkness with quiet strength, their eyes filled with stories untold. The golden tones of Titian's mythological scenes pulse with warmth and passion, while Vermeer's interiors shimmer with tranquility, each detail illuminated by the gentlest sunlight. Every brushstroke speaks of patience, of discipline, and of a reverence for truth. As the camera moves from one masterpiece to the next, the atmosphere feels sacred, like walking through a cathedral built of color and form. Each painting carries its own rhythm, its own breath. The saints, kings, and everyday people who inhabit these works seem almost alive, frozen in perfect stillness, yet vibrant with emotion. Even after centuries, the colors remain luminous, blues that echo eternity, reds that burn with quiet fire, golds that seem to hold the light of another world. The National Gallery's collection of old masters is more than a display of art, it is a conversation between civilizations. The Italian Renaissance whispers of harmony and human perfection. The Dutch painters speak of realism, of the sacred beauty in ordinary life. The French and Spanish masters tell stories of drama, faith, and power. Together, they reveal how art evolved as humanity itself changed, how each generation of artists learned from those who came before, yet dared to see the world anew. In these rooms, history feels alive. One can almost hear the rustle of silk robes, the soft prayer of a monk in a cloister, the laughter of merchants in the marketplace. The paintings hold echoes of those moments, preserved forever through pigment and imagination. The silence of the gallery deepens as visitors linger before these works, drawn not by their fame, but by their quiet humanity. Each canvas is an encounter with the eternal, a reminder of what it means to create, to dream, and to leave behind something that never fades. The glow of the old masters reminds us that art is not merely decoration or display. It is the record of the human spirit's endless search for meaning. Within the marble walls of the National Gallery of Art, these masterpieces continue to speak across the centuries, connecting hearts and minds in a language older than words. Their beauty endures, unbroken by time, because it belongs to all who stand before them and listen in silence. From the deep tones and solemn beauty of the old masters, the journey moves into a world of brightness and freedom, the radiant world of the air feels lighter here, the colors more alive. The walls of the gallery seem to glow with the brilliance of dawn as one steps into rooms filled with shimmering light and fluid color. It is as if the paintings themselves breathe, capturing not the perfection of form, but the fleeting beauty of a single moment. In these galleries, The works of Claude Monet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Edgar Degas, and Camille Pissarro fill the space with warmth and motion. Each painting reflects the heartbeat of modern life, the flicker of sunlight on water, the movement of a crowd, the intimacy of human connection. Monet's soft layered brushstrokes capture the dance of light upon rivers, gardens, and clouds. Renoir's portraits glow with tender emotion, his figures radiant with the joy of being alive. Degas brings grace and rhythm to his dancers, freezing their movement in midair as if time itself has paused to admire their beauty. The gallery feels alive with color. Shades of blue, green, and gold flow across the canvases like music, vibrant yet delicate, powerful yet peaceful. The Impressionists abandoned the perfection of detail to embrace the imperfection of perception. They painted not what they knew, but what they saw and felt in a single instant. Every stroke was a heartbeat, every color a pulse of light. They sought to capture life as it truly was moving, changing, breathing. The sunlight pouring through the skylights above seems to echo the spirit of these artists. The light dances upon the marble floor and across the visitors' faces, creating a harmony between art and environment. For a moment, the gallery itself becomes an impressionist painting, alive with color, shadow, and reflection. The boundaries between art and reality blur, and everything becomes part of the same living scene. Beyond Monet and Renoir, the gallery reveals the next wave of bold innovators: Vincent van Gogh, Paul Cézanne, and Paul Gauguin. Their work pushes the limits of color and emotion even further. Van Gogh's swirling skies and burning yellows seem to vibrate with raw energy. Cézanne's fractured landscapes and still lifes reshape how form and perspective are seen. Gaughin's tropical visions explode with symbolism and emotion, drawing the viewer into a world of mystery and dream. Together, these artists transformed the way humanity saw the world. They showed that beauty was not found only in perfection, but in feeling, in the shimmer of light across a river, the shadow of a tree, or the blush of a sunset fading into night. Their art was rebellion, but it was also revelation, the discovery that emotion could be painted, that time could be captured, that reality could be reimagined through color. As visitors stand among these masterpieces, they are surrounded not by history, but by life itself, the pulse of nature, the whisper of memory, the glow of the human spirit. The Impressionists turned art into a reflection of the soul, proving that even the most fleeting moment could last forever when seen through the eyes of love and light. From the luminous halls of painting, the path leads into quieter spaces where light touches stone and bronze instead of canvas. The sound changes, footsteps echoes softly, and the air carries a sense of stillness. This is the world of sculpture, where form speaks in silence, and emotion is carved into permanence. Here, in the sculpture galleries of the National Gallery of Art, the human story takes shape, literally. Every curve, every shadow, every polished surface tells of passion, struggle, and beauty. The language is not written in words or colors, but in gesture and balance. At the center of the gallery stands the serene beauty of Auguste Rodin's The Thinker. The bronze figure leans forward in eternal contemplation, muscles tensed in thought, frozen between motion and stillness. Around him, light flows gently across the metal surface, highlighting the traces of the artist's touch, each line a record of creation. Rodin captured the soul of man, not through perfection, but through truth, the raw, unguarded moment of reflection that belongs to all of us. Nearby, Jean-Antoine Houdon's marble portraits breathe with lifelike precision. Faces carved centuries ago retain the spark of presence, as though their subjects might inhale at any moment. The coldness of marble disappears beneath the warmth of expression, a testament to the sculptor's genius, to his ability to transform stone into spirit. Moving through the gallery, one encounters modern works of Henry Moore, where abstract forms twist and flow like living matter. These sculptures do not depict the body, they suggest it. They speak of nature, of landscape, of movement. The hollow spaces within them seem filled with air and energy, a dialogue between mass and emptiness. In another corner rests Alexander Calder's mobiles, suspended in graceful balance, shifting gently with the air. Here, sculpture defies gravity. The pieces float like fragments of a dream, a dance of shape, shadow, and silence. Each movement is unpredictable, yet harmonious, like music made visible. Calder taught the world that sculpture could move, that it could live, that it could breathe along with time itself. The gallery's layout allows light to become part of the art. Sunlight from above drifts across surfaces, changing their mood from hour to hour. Morning light sharpens the details. Evening light softens the edges. The sculptures respond like living beings, never quite the same, always revealing something new. In these quiet spaces, visitors move more slowly. There is something sacred in the encounter between body and form, between viewer and creation. Each sculpture feels timeless, yet deeply human. They remind us that art is not only about seeing, it is about feeling. It is about the silent exchange between what is made and what is felt. The National Galleries, sculpture halls, bridge centuries, from the perfection of classical ideals to the bold experimentation of modern thought. Together, they reveal the evolution of humanity's understanding of itself. In the stillness of stone and the gleam of bronze, We see both fragility and strength, the unspoken language of existence, carved forever into form. From the quiet, classical grace of the West Building, a glass walkway leads forward, a bridge between centuries. Across it rises the East Building, a masterpiece of modern architecture designed by the visionary M.P. Angular, bold, and filled with light. It stands as a symbol of progress and imagination, the meeting point between history and the future of art. The first impression is one of space. Triangles, lines, and sharp planes intersect in perfect harmony. Natural light pours through massive skylights, illuminating open atriums and vast staircases that seem to float. The geometry feels alive, constantly shifting as visitors move through it. It's not just a building, it's a sculpture of glass, stone, and air. The East Building redefines what a museum can be, not just a container for art, but a work of art itself. Inside, the energy changes completely. The quiet reverence of the old masters gives way to bold color, daring form, and revolutionary thought. Here, the voices of modern and contemporary artists speak loud and clear, voices that challenge, provoke, and inspire. The walls come alive with works by Pablo Picasso, Jacques Pollock, Mark Rothko, Joan Miró, and Henri Matisse. A massive canvas by Rothko fills the room with glowing fields of color, so deep and resonant they seem to hum. Standing before it, visitors feel the pull of emotion, not a scene, but a sensation. Across the gallery, Pollock's splattered webs of paint explode with movement and chaos, capturing the rhythm of energy itself. Picasso's sharp, fragmented forms reveal the complexity of human perception, a face seen from many sides at once. Each artwork in this space feels alive, daring to ask questions rather than provide answers. The artists of the modern era broke from tradition to explore the unknown, to find truth in abstraction, emotion, and imagination. The result is a conversation not only about beauty, but about freedom. At the heart of the East Building, light flows across wide staircases that rise toward the skylights above. Visitors pause here, surrounded by vast spaces where silence feels electric. The design draws the eye upward, toward openness, toward possibility. Pei's architecture mirrors the essence of modern art itself: clarity, balance, and the courage to be different. The sculpture atrium bursts with innovation. Alexander Calder's massive mobile, untitled 1976, hangs high above the space, its red and black shapes drifting gently in the air. The mobile responds to the faintest movement, creating a living harmony between art, space, and motion. Beneath it, people gather in wonder, their small voices echoing softly through the grand geometry of the hall. Around every corner, the East Building reveals new perspectives. Andy Warhol's pop art challenges the boundaries between high culture and everyday life. Roy Lichtenstein's comic-inspired paintings transform humor and irony into bold visual poetry. Louise Bourgeois' sculptures twist emotion into form, while Ellsworth Kelly's minimalist canvases celebrate the beauty of simplicity. This is not a place of stillness, but of dialogue between artist and viewer, past and present, form and freedom. Every gallery invites reflection, and every surface seems to radiate light. The building itself breathes creativity, reminding visitors that art is not confined by time or tradition. As the day unfolds, sunlight travels across the glass roof, casting changing shadows on the walls and floor. By evening, the East Building glows softly from within, a beacon of modern art on the National Mall. It stands as a tribute to the endless evolution of human expression, proof that art is not a fixed idea, but a living force, always reaching forward, always becoming something new. Just beyond the museum's walls, where the city's rhythm softens and the air opens wide, lies a sanctuary of art beneath the open sky, the Sculpture Garden, a tranquil oasis in the heart of Washington, D.C. It blends the serenity of nature with the imagination of human creation. The hum of traffic fades into the background, replaced by birdsong, laughter, and the rustle of leaves moving gently in the breeze. Here, art and earth exist together in perfect harmony. The paths wind gracefully through green lawns and flowering trees. Each turn reveals a new encounter, a piece of metal, bronze, or stone rising from the landscape like a thought made visible. The sunlight glints off smooth surfaces, while shadows ripple across textures shaped by hand and time. Every sculpture feels alive in its setting, transformed by the changing light of day. Among the most striking works stands Roy Lichtenstein's House Eye, a playful illusion of perspective that seems to shift and bend as visitors move around it. Nearby, Joan Miró's personage, Gothic, Oiseau-Éclair towers in whimsical majesty, a surreal form that feels both ancient and otherworldly. The towering steel arcs of Marc di Suvero stretch toward the sky, bold and graceful, their red lines slicing through the air with strength and elegance. The garden's design encourages stillness and reflection. Benches are tucked beneath the shade of trees, offering quiet moments for those who pause to simply look and listen. The gentle splash of the central fountain becomes part of the garden's rhythm, a natural counterpoint to the structured beauty around it. The fountain's pool mirrors the sculptures and the sky, creating shifting reflections that blur the line between art and nature. As seasons change, the Sculpture Garden transforms. In spring and summer, The space blooms with color tulips, magnolias, and cherry blossoms frame the art in soft hues. In autumn, the trees burn with gold and crimson, and fallen leaves gather gently at the base of the sculptures. In winter, the fountain becomes a glistening ice rink, alive with laughter and motion. Skaters glide beneath the bare trees as snow drifts softly around them, a living artwork in motion. Families, artists, and travelers from around the world come here to rest, to think, to feel. The atmosphere is peaceful yet full of life. Children trace the curves of the sculptures with their eyes. Lovers sit hand in hand by the water, and photographers capture the dance of light and shadow across the forms. The sculpture garden is more than an extension of the museum. It is its living heart. It reminds every visitor that art does not belong only to walls or frames. It belongs to the wind, to the sunlight, to the quiet joy of being surrounded by beauty that moves and breathes. As dusk falls, the garden glows softly in the golden light. The sculptures take on new personalities. Reflective, mysterious. The air cools, the fountain glimmers, and the city lights begin to shimmer beyond the trees. Here, art rests peacefully beneath the open sky, speaking to all who wander through, a timeless conversation between creativity and nature, silence and form, earth and imagination. As the day draws to a close over Washington, D.C., the last rays of sunlight sweep across the marble steps of the National Gallery of Art. The city begins to quiet, and a golden glow settles over the National Mall. Inside the museum, the halls grow peaceful again. The footsteps fade, the galleries rest, and the masterpieces, centuries old, remain in their silent conversation with time. The National Gallery of Art stands not only as a home for beauty, but as a symbol of a nation's belief in the power of culture, creativity, and knowledge. It is a gift, one born from the vision of Andrew W. Mellon, whose dream was to create a place where art would belong to everyone. Since its opening in 1941, that dream has continued to grow, shaped by generations of artists, curators, and visitors who have all become part of its living story. Within its walls lies the spirit of human achievement, from the devotion of the old masters to the daring innovation of the modern age. Every room, every canvas, every sculpture reflects a piece of our shared history. Here, civilizations meet through art. Ancient faiths, lost empires, revolutions of thought, all find a voice in the quiet beauty of the museum's collection. The galleries to buildings, the classical West and the modern East, mirror the very journey of humanity, from order and tradition to imagination and discovery. They face each other across the plaza, like two halves of the same mind, one rooted in memory, the other reaching toward the future. Between them flows a river of light, connecting past and present, reminding us that art is a bridge, not a boundary. Beyond the walls, the sculpture garden continues that dialogue under the open sky, where seasons paint their own masterpiece across the landscape. It reminds us that art does not end when the museum closes. It continues in the world around us, in the way we see, feel, and create. Each visitor who walks these halls becomes part of something larger, a quiet exchange between artist and observer that transcends time. For some, the museum is a place of learning. For others, it is a place of peace. But for all, it is a reminder of what it means to be human, to seek beauty, to question meaning, to find light in the act of creation. As night settles, the grand marble facade glows under the soft illumination of the city lights. The domes and glass skylights reflect the stars above, blending architecture and sky into one seamless vision. The National Gallery of Art rests in quiet dignity, a guardian of the world's treasures and a beacon of inspiration for generations yet to come. Art lives here, not as relics of the past, but as a living force, breathing through every corridor, every color, every silent moment of wonder. And as visitors leave, carrying memories of what they have seen, they take with them a spark, a reminder that beauty is eternal, and that creativity, like light, never fades.